Welcome to the Alone in the Soundlounge show, a place where I play music that I'm personally interested in. Today's episode doesn't have a strict format. I selected random tracks from my playlist that I want to share with you. Hopefully, you'll find something cool here. And without further ado, let's begin. That was the band Ночной проспект with their song Этой ночью, This Night. A very interesting and important band for the Moscow alternative scene. They started out all the way back in the early to mid 80s and transformed their sound from catchy new wave to experimental rock, including elements of industrial music, post-punk. Later in the 90s, they would also add elements of Manchester to their sound, and overall I think Ночной проспект is one of the most interesting bands from the Moscow scene that deserves a video of their own at some point on this channel. The main brains of the band is Alexei Borisov, who has a phenomenal solo career also. Did a lot of interesting stuff with the noise kind of genre, a lot of very abstract type of music. And this song was off the album Kohorta Kavkaza, which was recorded in the 80s, 1987 if I'm not mistaken, but was released only a couple years ago. That's simply the extent to how big the discography is. This band recorded a ton of music in the Soviet years and has started releasing past material just now. So for decades, this track was only heard by the members of the band, but now we, the fans, so to say, can finally hear it. And I think it sounds really cool. It's really interesting, kind of progressive electronic stuff, a little bit of a, I would say, proto-vaporwave sound, but I think almost any 80s music has that proto-vaporwave aesthetic to it. Coming up, we have the band Medusa 7, another Moscow band, this time from the 1990s. I don't have any information on who these guys are. I just found this track accidentally online and I really enjoyed it. I'm gonna guess, basing off the music, that this is something related to the Alien Pat Holman crowd, but if I'm wrong, please correct me in the comments. This band has a unique sort of sound, kind of like a mix of psychedelia, baggy Manchester stuff, some dub, and obviously classic 90s alternative rock. Very nice stuff. I hope you dig it. The track is kind of long, so I'm gonna have to cut it, but you can find the whole thing online. Give it a listen. So that was the band Medusa 7. As I said, you can find the whole track online. It's a great listen. And I kind of forgot to mention that there's also the down-tempo influence in this music, and it's a shame that the down-tempo kind of sound didn't reach its full mainstream potential in Russia. I mean, obviously there were some hit albums with elements of down-tempo and new age and world music and all kinds of cool hypnotic rhythmic stuff. The first thing that comes to mind is obviously the Max Fadeev stuff at the time, the Linda albums, but even there, I think the whole amazing potential this music has wasn't fully reached. I think now is a good time to talk about the channel. I am currently working on a new video and I have just finished the audio for it. If I get all the footage done by this week, I think the video should come out in like 2 to 3 weeks, hopefully. The topic is going to be quite an interesting one and it's a long one. So I'm deciding to split the videos into parts because hopefully that will make it easier for the viewer. Because I've noticed that the longer videos are usually harder to promote than the shorter ones. However, I think the topic is also very important, the theme and topic of the video, because the post-punk video has been blowing up. I mean, for my channel at least, 5,000 views is a pretty good mark and hopefully it will go higher. The video is going to be quite an interesting one as I'm doing a more controversial topic when it comes to Eastern European music, and maybe we'll get some discussion going in the channel. Alright, I think done with the talking, let's play some good old Soviet new wave.
Оазис пустыни снов.
What you heard was the band Кофе with their song Monument off the classic Soviet new wave album Balance, which was recorded at Vishna's studio around the same time as Kino's Grupa Krovi. In my personal opinion, I think Кофе is the superior band, but whatever. After Кофе came a Фраки Sungaze remix on the band Холод, and after that, some classic Estonian jazz. The composition is called Haapsalu, and it was performed by the Tõnu Naissoo trio. Tõnu Naissoo is one of the most respected and legendary Estonian jazz pianists. He worked in a lot of interesting bands. Not all of them are actually jazz. For example, there's the band Kaseke, which played more proggy kind of stuff in the early 80s. If you're into very instrumental kind of heavy prog stuff, that might be up your alley. But what we just heard was the more traditional jazz material. I think that we're gonna stick with the Baltic theme for now and play some Lithuanian post-punk.
Ten vieną damą sutikau, jos vardas buvo Salomėja, o aš iš žemės buvau Salomėja, 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 Salomėja. Ant kalno klausiau jos kažina, pakalniai tarė gerai. Su ja rytaisi jau į kiną, o į muziejų vakarai. Salomėja, 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 Salomėja. Ant aukšto kalno apsidairė, aš Salomėją apsišukau, graži tu kaip Buenos Aires, kurių aš niekad nemačiau. Salomėja, 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 Salomėja. Aš namuose turiu vežėją ir naują traktorių turiu. Bet man sapnuoja Salomėja, kas naktį būsią keturių. Salomėja, 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 Salomėja.
That was the band Девушкин, an interesting 90s band from Kurgan, which is the city most well known for having the greatest Russian nu metal band Psycheia, but also the pop fans might know it as the birthplace of Max Fadeev, the popular pop producer responsible for Linda and other projects. Besides these two acts, there was a lot of actually interesting bands in the Kurgan region during the 90s, and Девушкин is one of them. Eclectic mix of pop songwriting with electronic experimentation and kind of dream pop, lavish atmosphere. The band tried to get a career in the 90s by moving to Moscow, but as you could probably guess, the band's far from radio-friendly music remains to be a niche and is enjoyed by a small handful of music listeners. After Девушкин, we're going to be playing some Purple Fog Side, which is, if I'm not mistaken, another Ijevsk project, but I could be wrong. It's a very interesting sort of atmospheric, ambient, droney music that was shared on Discord. Again, I already mentioned this a lot of times, but if you want to get your hands on the most interesting, unknown, Eastern European, Russian, whatever music, join the Discord. That's where all the conversations happen. That's where all the updates about the channel happen first. Go and join it. And we're continuing playing some music. That was the band Кирпичи bringing back some energy to our show with their song Слюни на экране off the Смех на рейве album. In my personal opinion, it's probably in the top 10 of like the best Russian albums of the 90s and probably like top 20 or 30 best Russian rock albums of all time. I think it's a phenomenal record with just everything you need from straightforward alternative rock, grunge, whatever you want to call it, hardcore. They do it all and they do it flawlessly. I think that at some point when the channel gets bigger, we're gonna make a whole video about Кирпичи because in my personal opinion, they're probably one of the most influential Russian bands of all time. They did a lot of the stuff first and their influence can be felt to this day, but not many people actually see it, but it's there. From indie rock to the alternative metal, metalcore, all that stuff. The Kирпичи influence is everywhere. Okay, I think that the hardcore energy is just what we need. Химера, Бред. If Kирпичи are in my top 10 favorite Russian bands, Аукцыон is probably in the top 5 or top 3. I absolutely love everything that Leonid Fedorov does, be it with the band or solo. And I think that the best word that describes Аукцыон is organic. Everything just feels right. The music, the lyrics, it just flows so well. And the music has that kind of a timeless feel to it, and it's very original at the same time. There's a lot of interesting mixes of Russian folk, but it doesn't feel like kitsch, you know, it feels like an actual interesting, good mix of Russian folk with Western influences like jazz rock, art punk. In general, I think Аукцыон is probably one of the best bands from Russia, and definitely a great starting point for anyone interested in the scene. The song played was a live rendition of a track from the Železné вершины album, which was released in 1995, and it featured Хвостенко. It's a collaboration with Хвостенко, who is a sort of a singer-songwriter, bard from Russia, and Аукцыон made a lot of collaborations with him. They already had Чайник Вина, I think was the album called, from 1992. That one was an interesting record. Not as good as Železné вершины in my opinion, but still also another cool album. Železné вершины, on the other hand, is a complete masterpiece, probably one of my favorites from the band. However, picking a favorite Аукцыон album is super hard. They're all very, very good, and they all fit a certain mood, certain time, where, you know, it hits you in the right way. Železné вершины is also the first ever album to win the Fuzz Awards. In 96, it got the award for the best new Russian album. And in general, I think Železné вершины is probably one of the most iconic art rock albums in Russian music. It's probably not the best entry point into Аукцыон. I'd guess you'd go with Птица first, or maybe Как я стал предателем. But once you try those albums out and you're ready for the full discography, definitely listen to Železné вершины. It's a phenomenal record, 10 out of 10, not a single bad song on that album. So yeah, we're coming to an end, but before we play a classic, I decided to spin something new. The band is called Šайjm, and they released a new album last year, which was posted on my Discord. I checked it out, enjoyed it, and decided to play a track here from this record. Think post-hardcore, but mixed with Вежливый отказ style prog, and to an extent some aquarium influences, especially in the flutes. There's a lot of flute action going on in some of these tracks. Post-hardcore with flutes, where else are you gonna find that? So yeah, the song I picked is called Ремесло. It's over 10 minutes in length, so I'm definitely gonna cut it. But if you want to hear the whole thing, go check the album out on Spotify, on YouTube. Give this band a shot. You'll enjoy it like I did. It's a great, great record, and the whole song is fantastic too, so you have another reason to give it a second listen.
мертвых, там, где кончается слава, видишь, праздник для мертвых, на обратной стороне медалей кровь. Это жизнь ради мертвых. Новых побед. Это обряд, и жертву никто не спасет и не спросит никто, нужно ли это тебе. И только кровь на обратной стороне медали, слышишь? Музыка для мертвых, там, где кончается слава, для мертвых, на обратной стороне медалей кровь. Это жизнь ради мертвых. Кончается слава, видишь, праздник для мертвых, на обратной стороне медалей.